Quit laughing so I can start. Hi, I'm Christian Hebert, and we're at my farm in Fairlight, Saskatchewan, Hebert Grain Ventures. I'm with Zach Johnson, the Millennial Farmer. So thanks for coming out, Zach. We'd like to just have a conversation about your operation.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Christian, I gotta ask, can you give me a quick explanation really of like an elevator speech of what you got going on your farm here? Because obviously this is a lot different than from what I do down in Minnesota.
We're black soil zone, grow canola, malt barley, hard red spring wheat, yellow peas, and we grow a little bit of fall hybrid rye. This year we planted about 22,000 acres.
You've mentioned that this is your $1 million rain. How long do you give it before you start complaining about too much water?
We'd have to be over 1.5 inches in the next 24 hours before I'd complain.
Okay, so it's not really very long.
No, but let's be honest, we're farmers, we're good at complaining about Mother Nature.
So how did your spring go this year so far? I know back at home for us, we had way too much water. I know it's raining out right now, but I hear that it's kind of been the opposite situation for you guys.
Yeah, in general, Western Canada is pretty dry. For us personally, it was perfect. We had a great seeding.
So in my area this year, I mentioned that we were wet. We struggled to get stuff in. And what happens in our area is we've got prevent plant, we call it, where we come in, we get a percentage of our crop insurance policy.
Right.
Does it work the same up here? How does that work? Say that you had a spring or some acres you couldn't get in. I mean, how does that work in Canada?
Yeah, so there's 3 main products in Canada. There's two functioned by the government, which is agri-stability. It's a margin type product. The most used one would be our government crop insurance. It's yield based, very similar to the MPCI product in the US. The third option it's a private product called Global Ag Risk Solutions. We use it on our farm. I actually don't even buy the government product, not even the 2 wet payment.
So in a situation like we've had in the US this year, where we've had a ton of acres that are just too wet and guys can't get in there, they can't get the crop in like they want to, we're seeing a lot of insurance issues, with prevent plant in the US, but how does something like Global Ag Risk Solutions work in a situation like that?
I think as farmers, we always want to try and grow the crop. Even if it's too wet, we'd still prefer to try and grow the crop. But currently, over the last 100 years, insurance has forced us to make non-farm management decisions. Sure. Not saying they weren't right from a risk management standpoint, but the minute an insurance product affects your management ability, is it actually doing its job? So I mean, that's the theory between Global Ag Risk Solutions and the government products, is that it's built to say, you make the right decision for your farm and the coverage will follow you.
When it comes to making like seed decisions, I know a lot of times when guys are in a pinch or maybe they just want to cut costs a little bit, they'll go to seed, fertilizer, chemical. Let's say you know what seed works really well in your area, but it's expensive. And you decide to cut costs on seed by going to a different seed, but generally that seed's not going to yield quite as well. So you're limited a little bit in what you want to plant. Yep. It sounds to me like Global Ag can help a little bit with that because it's actually building in the production cost. So if you add that production cost of that higher quality seed into your program, you can blend that right into the Global Ag product and get that covered.
Yeah, so you're exactly right? They use exactly what you spend on seed, fertilizer, chem. So let's go back to your thing. Why do you want to use that seed in your area?
Well, generally you'd want to use it because you believe it's going to give you a better return.
Absolutely, which means it's going to yield more.
It's going to yield more, enough to make up the difference in the cost that it was initially.
So the farmer decides to use a different genetic because it's cheaper per acre for the seed, even though they know it's most likely going to yield less. All because they were nervous of what their current MPCI coverage was.
It's the complete opposite of what they should do.
Yes.
Because they're trying to save money up front, where a product like Global Ag can help them make that decision, again, ahead of time to do what they think is right on their farm.
100%.
Sounds to me like one of the big advantages that Global Ag Risk allows the farmer to do is to make their own decisions. And how do you think that affects the farmer's profitability, and how does that affect your farm?
I think farmers, when they have all the power in their hands to make the decisions they know are right. A lot of these decisions, if you went back and said, would you make that again if you took all of the current risk management structure or anything that's affecting your decision out of it and just said, what would you do in this situation? They would say that I'd choose the best genetic. So by making all these good decisions, even though you're increasing your cost per acre, because you spent more on genetics, on fertilizer, on fungicide, because your output, your yield went up so much, you decrease your cost per bushel. Well, that's where our spread is. We sell bushels. So the more of them we can grow for great decisions, because great decisions is actually what allows us to grow more bushels, is where we capture all the margin. So really what you want to have is a risk management plan that allows the farmer to just be a really good farmer.
Right.
That's what they're good at. We want to feed the world, and we want generational farms. Well, then the base of that is just good decisions, as many of them as we can make. So Zach, it's been great hosting at the farm. We'd love to come down and check out your operation. Just wanted to maybe get a couple takeaways on what you've picked up this week in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun. I did learn how to say Saskatchewan. I think I did it correctly. I also learned that you guys complain about drought and then it rains the whole time. And if you guys ever get a chance to get down to Minnesota, come and check me out. We don't all talk quite as funny as I pretend we do, but thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, been great meeting you.
Yeah, thank you.
I still can't figure out though, like Minnesota, is it got a T or a D in it at the end?